The views and opinions expressed by guests on this show are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of myself or our sponsors. Hello and welcome back to the 13th ranked podcast in Mingo, Iowa. We are here today with one of my favorite people that I've known for about 8 years, real estate extraordinaire, Ashley Lima. Used to be on one of the top teams in San Antonio, and we used her to buy and sell a home. So well familiar with her, but she's not doing that anymore, and she'll explain why and all that good stuff. So Ashley, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing now.
All righty. Well, hi. Thank you. My name is Ashley Lima. I am currently a transaction coordinator for real estate agents in Texas. However, I do live in Jacksonville, Florida. So my husband is active duty military. That is why I'm no longer an active real estate agent. Needed something that really would move with us, that worked for our family, that allowed me to be home with our child when I needed to, anytime my husband went on deployment. And TC seemed like the best way to do that.
Excellent. And so you own your own business, correct?
Correct.
Just
Yep,
you?
it's just me.
Okay, great. And so
Yes.
you work solely in Texas?
Yes, I considered expanding out to Florida since I live here, but really haven't had a need to expand to Florida. Um, know and love the Texas contract, so
Yeah.
figured I would
And
just stick
so
there.
transaction coordinators, do you have to be licensed for that? I mean, is that like a separate license, or is that just you have to maintain the real estate license, or how does that work?
No, so you actually don't have to have a real estate license. There's no true certification for Texas. Right now, I believe the only state that has a requirement for certification is
Okay.
California, and
Really?
they're
Yeah.
their own
Yeah.
beast anyways. Um, but it does help to have a real estate license and to have that knowledge, um, because ultimately you can do way more for your agents as a TC than you can if you are
Gotcha.
unlicensed.
Gotcha. Oh, that makes sense. That makes total sense. And what is the role of a transaction coordinator? I mean, what all do you take care of um, during, if the listing agent or the buyer's agent call you and say, hey, I want to use you as my transaction coordinator. What do you do and what do you don't do? I mean, obviously you're in Florida. You're not taking people out to show houses, which I would make sense as, it's not part of a transaction coordinator to me, but maybe people don't know that. So what's the start and end of your
Yeah,
role, your
exactly.
responsibility?
So there's essentially, I can do a couple different things. Like for my business personally, I can help listing agents do all of the pre-listing documentation, getting their MLS ready, connecting with sellers to make sure we have all of the disclosures, everything organized in order to go on the market. And then once we're actually under contract, no matter if it's a buyer or seller, essentially handling everything behind the scenes for that agent so that the agents can continue to go out and do what they do best, and that's selling. Most real estate agents are not good at the paperwork, making sure all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed kind of thing. So I'm behind the scenes checking all of our dates, making sure everything goes to the broker, everything is done correctly on the right forms, and get the agent paid at the end of the deal. So also really help the agent look good and stand out to their client as best as
Gotcha.
possible.
Yeah, well, I think we're probably in a lot of the same local real estate groups, like on Facebook and stuff. And I always kind of laugh when some of the questions, and I'm not in the real estate world as far as agent wise, so I only get to see half the scene, and I only know what I pick up from talking to you and from seeing in those groups and talking to the realtors that use me and stuff. But I always laugh at the ones that come on and they just, oh, I hate my paper. I hate doing this paperwork, or I don't understand this. And I always think, well, either you don't have a team behind you, you don't work with a team, you're just a solo agent or whatever, or you don't have a transaction coordinator or somebody in the office to help you with all this stuff. Why are you struggling? Just look into somebody like
Yeah,
yourself. And I don't think we ever actually did promote the name of your business, Compass Transaction Coordinator, coordination.
yeah,
Everybody, every real estate agent that'll ever tune into this needs to look that up and get a hold of you, even if it's just for a question on, why should I use you? Um, but
exactly.
why? So on that note, why should a real estate agent do so? Well, let me back up. Do most teams have their own internal one, or is that not a role that's typically staffed, I guess, at the office level?
And yeah, there's kind of a variety. There are some of the bigger brokerages do offer like an in-house TC. They're not necessarily, most of them are not necessarily doing the same scope as what I'm doing. They're more of a compliance officer
Mm-hmm.
kind of position. Um, as far as like real estate teams, a lot of them, if they're doing significant numbers, they do have an in-house or an on-team TC because financially it just makes sense versus paying per file. They can ultimately have total control over that one TC, and um, it just really they can pay less for the volume of transactions that they're doing. But also, with that said, I have a few teams that are doing big numbers, but they don't want to deal with the training. They don't want to deal with, making sure somebody is, especially if it's a salaried position, is maintaining that salary all the time. So, January, February tends to be slower. So maybe they don't want the risk of having to pay somebody during that time. Well, with an independent TC, you don't have that. So you save a lot of the cost that would come with having an in-house on staff
Gotcha. And
person.
so are you like contract, like, or I mean per contract, or are you just a monthly fee, or how does that work?
Yes. Nope. I'm an independent contractor. I work essentially behind the scenes with the agent. They contact me, hire me to do a per file per transaction basis. Some of them have me do all of their business. Some have me do like I have a few investor clients, or sorry, agents that work with investors or
Okay.
are investors themselves. Because of the cost with that, they tend to keep those to
Mm.
themselves, and I do the ones where they're making a true profit on it because they're acting as a buyer's agent or a
No,
seller's
that
agent
makes
only.
total sense.
Um, yeah,
Okay. And so getting into somewhat of a, well, not an analogy, or I guess the at what point, let's say I'm a solo agent, uh, is there a somewhat set number of, if I'm doing 4 deals a month or better, or that, heck, I don't even know how busy that would be. What level would I need to be at, or could I be at, where I would think about calling a transaction coordinator and saying, "Hey, I need some of this taken off my plate." I mean, it doesn't seem to me that 1 deal a month, if
yeah.
I'm just that guy that's doing 1 deal a month, that's enough volume to say, well, I can't handle this unless I'm just completely disorganized. So what do you see?
I have a range, honestly. I do have a few of those agents that they do only do one deal a month. And the reason they're using me is either they're new to real estate, and they don't necessarily know all the ins and outs. They understand the contract, but not completely. Um, or they really just don't want to deal with it. I have one of my best friends is one of my clients, and she She's never done an MLS listing. She has no idea. And so, but to me, she's like, I don't want to learn it. I don't want to do it. Just take care of it for me. And then on the other side of that, I have teams that are doing 20 plus a month, and they're out showing, they're on appointments, they're marketing, they're doing whatever they need to do to keep growing and expanding their business. So I take off on average, it's 12 to 15 hours per transaction that I'm
Wow.
taking off their plate so that they can go have a life. They don't have to work every single night and all weekend. They can enjoy their kids, enjoy their family, do whatever they
Nice.
need to
Yeah,
do.
as I was saying all that, I'm thinking in the back of my head, heck, even that one that does the one transaction a month, that's just a crap ton of stuff that you take off their plate. Because I mean, I kind of see some of the contract stuff being on the inspection side of it. But as I was formulating that question, I don't know if you saw the steam rolling out of, or the smoke rolling out of my ears. Like, wait, no, actually, if you're only doing one, you could still use that, use that help. Uh,
Oh yeah, especially if you're on the buy side. You could be out showing for, 10, 20, 30 houses just trying to find that one, especially in a market that's a little bit
mhm.
tighter, where there's not as much inventory. You're
So
showing everything.
do you have what's I can't I keep thinking of the word and I can't think of it. Um, like when somebody starts using you and they're doing 4 or 5 deals a month, the time that you free up for them, all of a sudden they're doing 8, 9, 10 deals a month just because they're not having to deal with
Yeah.
that. Do you see that a lot, or I mean, do you kind of track that or not?
Yeah, because like essentially with everything, yeah, basically with every transaction, I just saved them 1 to 2 days of work. So they now have, instead of doing the paperwork and stumbling through it and reviewing everything, answering broker questions, answering lender and title questions, they're out showing. They're out getting another client instead of sitting behind a
Yeah, that
computer.
just to me that's just total common sense. I mean, like the
Yeah.
time that they're not sitting behind a computer is time that they can be selling more houses. So to me, anybody that doesn't think that way on the as a real estate agent, I think probably needs to alter their trajectory because that just makes complete sense to me. Um, Great, yeah, that's I'm learning here. I'm learning. I like it. Uh,
Yeah.
so if you're not doing if you're when you're not doing the transactions, what's taking care of the baby? What else are you doing?
So, yeah. So I am currently attempting to train for a half Ironman. Realize that is way more challenging with a toddler, uh, and a husband in the military, because his schedule changes, so then my training changes, and having a kid in daycare. There's so much
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh
maintenance,
yeah.
so he's constantly sick. Oh,
Where
but
what half marathon is it? I mean, like or, I mean, half Ironman. Is it local there? Or
I'm shooting for the Gulf. It's the Gulf Coast in Panama City in
May?
May.
So
So I was supposed to do it last year. Husband was deployed a lot, so that didn't happen. Because training is twice a day right now for 2 to 3 hours.
that's crazy.
So
I don't.
that just doesn't
Yeah,
happen too
I don't
often.
have near that type of motivation. So good on you. Good on you.
I don't
Right.
always.
Uh, so when you were in Texas, I remember you were the crazy dog lady. Do you still have a bunch of? Yep. Yeah.
Still am.
That's awesome. Do you
Yep.
do?
We still have three. We slowed that
Yeah.
one
Do you
down a little
do?
bit.
They're all rescues, right? Yeah. That's what I thought.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we used to volunteer
Mhm.
with SAPA in San Antonio and Texas Husky
Yeah.
Rescue.
I'm a big fan of anyone that likes dogs. So they
They're
are.
a good time.
They are. What else? What else you got going on? Are you taking on new clients all the time, or are you kind of full
Um,
up, or?
so I did. I had a team. I'll be honest. I had a team. Um, truth be told, I realized after a couple years I was not necessarily the person that could wear all the hats. So I reduced it. Now it's just myself. Um, and now I'm creating a training program because ultimately, like, I was a teacher prior to doing real estate, and I've had multiple people ask me, like, one, how did I get started? How do I do this? Will you train, my assistant if they don't necessarily want a TC because they want more control in house? So I am taking on more clients, but I'm also a little more picky, I guess,
That's
with who
fair.
I'm bringing on.
That's fair.
Just because ultimately takes, if I have somebody that's doing, like one deal every 6 months, it takes more time to remind them what I do
Oh,
in that time versus, if we're rocking and rolling, like I don't have to tell them, constantly what I'm, oh, just remember I take care of this and this and this. So I am taking on new clients, just a little more,
selectively.
a smaller group, I should say.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that brings up two questions for me. One dealing with transaction coordination, and two,
Yeah.
or the other one not just real estate in general. The as far as so, what is the biggest thing that your biggest frustration, I guess, with real estate agents? Is it not handing over the keys, or just not doing their part in the transaction, or what do you need them to do, basically?
It's more so, and I mean, this is really across any business, but it's communication. Uh, on the listing side specifically, I'm constantly having to remind agents, like, I've never seen that house before. I never will see that house. So I'll do my best to write your MLS description and put all the information in, but ultimately, like, I've never
Mm-hmm.
seen it. So I need you to help me out. Tell me what's in this house so that we can make your client's house look the best it possibly can. During the transaction, new construction specifically, builders don't like to talk to me. They don't really like to talk to the agents either. So it's just kind of, I need agents help in getting answers because I'll do my best. I'll pry, I'll text, I'll call, I'll do whatever I need to. But if I'm not getting a response, then I feel like I'm kind of doing a disservice to the agent because I'm charging them, but I'm not hearing back, and I'm not making their job easier. Um, Same like buyers and sellers. I do as much as I can to explain everything within reason, within my role, and not stepping out of bounds. Um, but some of it, like, I'm relying on people to read, and that doesn't
You
always
sound
happen.
like you sound like an
So
inspector,
it could be
trying to stay within my parameters, but you're making it
right.
hard for me. Uh, would you buy this house? Would you,
Yes.
can you come back and for free and check all this stuff? I'm like, ah. Um, so the house that we bought with you, when we sold that,
Yeah.
the agent that we used had us write our own MLS description, and she's like, the
Oh,
yeah,
I mean,
she's
I
like,
have seen
nobody's
that.
going to
Yeah.
love your house more than you. So tell us what you love about it. Oh, charming 3 bedroom, 4 bath, or well, not 4 bath, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 2.5 bath. And then she, you know, yeah,
Added the
I
fluff, I'm
edited it a
guessing.
little bit to, it's not called
Yeah.
XYZ. It's called this, and we can't say all those fair housing rules. You can't say within walking distance and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So. Uh, but yeah, I mean, so yeah, that's yeah, agents make your sellers write their own listing. Give them a chance to brag about their house. So the other
Yeah.
question,
Yeah.
and the way we met was because you were a teacher. You taught one of our friends' kids special needs.
Yeah.
Our oldest daughter's special needs, friends, all that stuff. Why do teachers and I've known, so the person, the agent we used to sell that house, she owned a daycare for years and years. You were a teacher. Um, who Kendall, I think, was a teacher, wasn't she? Or no? Becky, that's right.
Becky.
Uh, why do teachers make such good realtors?
I mean, I think there's a few things with that. One, we're used to the paperwork. Never realized how much paperwork, aside from special ed, um, there's so much paperwork in teaching. It's kind of ridiculous. So that we're used to. So real estate paperwork is kind of simple, honestly. You you've got to have people skills to some degree. You've got, especially if maybe you have a hard student or somebody's working through something, you've got to be able to communicate with that parent, that family, that um, coach, whatever it is. Just like in real estate, you're gonna have buyers and sellers that don't always listen, or like to do things the hard way. Um, you're gonna butt heads with agents, and you've got to talk it out and reason with them. And same with teaching. It's just you ultimately both have a goal, no matter if it's teaching or if it's real estate. You just got to find out how to get there.
I kind of assumed that's what
And
the
then
answer was, but yeah.
the hours are normal.
Well, yeah, yeah. No, I kind of assumed that's what the answer was going to
Teachers are
be,
always
but you
working.
never know, because I'm like, and I see a lot of agents that, oh yeah, you used to be a teacher for however many years, and now I'm doing real estate. That and news anchors. I know like three people that used to be
Oh,
like on the news or whatever that are now real estate agents, and I, boy, they could sure talk it up.
we'll
So
see.
yeah,
They
they have
they have that communication.
that communication
Yeah,
down. So good for them. All right, what else could we
absolutely.
talk about? Do you miss real estate agent, or do you kind of like the TC world now?
I mean, I miss the
Yeah.
commission, especially when I'm writing up, you know, $30,000 commissions for an agent. Uh, no, I I have I have a
Mm-hmm.
better work life balance for me, which is really important. I did not have that as an agent. You know, clients or buyers and sellers are paying you a lot of money or investing a lot of money in you to help them, which I 100% respect. So they expect you to answer your phone or be kind of at their beck and call, which is fine. But again, your personal life, your family life kind of gets put on the back burner. Um, and for me, it took a few years, and now having our son, there's nothing else more important than him. So being a TC gives me the chance to focus on him at appropriate times. Yes, he's in daycare, but then after hours, like, my focus is on him. If dad's on deployment, I can fully focus on Jameson while Casey's, on a ship somewhere. Uh, and I can't get that time back. So no, like, I shut off at 5 p.m. Central Time. I have my weekends, I have my nights. Whereas agents work really, really hard, and they don't have that for the most part.
So agents, get some of your time back and use a transaction coordinator. Just, I mean,
Yes,
again,
yes.
it
Go on
seems like common
vacation
sense
without
to
your
me.
phone. Yes.
Awesome. Well, I don't. Yeah, I'm out of questions for you because you answered everything. I mean, you broke it down for me and made it simple for me. So now I get it. And as if I wasn't a fan before and pushed, promoted you and all that stuff. I definitely,
Yes.
yeah,
Thank
I
you.
definitely don't understand why an agent that's even mildly busy would not look into using a transaction coordinator. So those that need to call you, because they're drowning in paperwork and having a no work life balance. How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so call me 210-896-3184. My website's Compass Transactionless Singular.com. I've got an Instagram, Facebook. Just check it out. And I
Oh
did want
yes,
to
yeah.
touch back
Go ahead.
real quick on something you just said. So you were saying, like, why agents are hesitant or why they won't use a TC. There's a wide range of TCs. Um, some do everything and they're available 24 hours a day. Some are not, like myself. Uh, Also, you kind of get what you pay for. But something agents were always, they're constantly negotiating. They're thinking about every dollar because it's expensive to be an agent. Uh, so when I say, my fee's $450 per transaction, somebody's like, that's really high. Well, no, like if you average it out now, like you look at what your commission is, what your time is worth per hour. My fee is less than 3% of the average sales price or average commission
Mm-hmm.
in Texas, specifically San Antonio. Um, so really, that's not that much. Also, my cost per hour is about $25 to $30. An agent could be $500 per hour, if not more, depending on your price point, your client. So really, would you rather spend $30 an hour or use your own time at $500 an hour? So
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, take whatever time you need to explain all that. If we need to circle back on anything else that we didn't talk about, because again, I kind of
yeah, I think the
understand it,
only
but
other,
not from the agent perspective, at least.
and well, some of it's fear and concern of giving up. I'm giving up control over
Mm-hmm.
my file, and ultimately, like, I'm here to make you look good. I'm here to make your life easier. Um, I'm not like I'm not here to piss off your client or
Right.
make you look bad or do anything that is out of legal parameters. Um, I don't negotiate. That's
Mm-hmm.
the agent's job. And ultimately, like, the client knows them. So if there's ever an issue, I'm gonna pick up that phone and call the agent like, hey, I need you to have a conversation with the buyer about X. Just to calm them down if there ever is an issue. Um, but yeah, really the agent is involved in, they may not handle every single moment, but they're involved on all of the communication with that client, so they know what's going on. It's just getting them to the comfort level of, okay, I don't have to handle every single item.
No, that makes sense. So when uh, when I'm calling around interviewing for TCs, what do I want to know? Who am I looking for, kind of thing. What are the pitfalls to kind of listen for or look out for? I mean, oh, I do this, I don't do that, kind of thing, or is it just gut feeling, comfort level, or is there specific things?
I mean, it's kind of based on what your business model looks like. Um, if you if you want somebody that works nights, weekends, 24/7, there are TCs that do that. I'm not one of them. Uh, so you kind of, do you want somebody that is available at your beck and call, or are you understanding that really there's not much for a TC to do outside of title company hours, outside of lender hours? Um, does the pricing make sense for what the services you're being offered, what you're comfortable with spending? Just like with anything else, you have Walmart TCs, you have Target, Macy's, Nordstrom, Tiffany's. Like, what are you looking for specifically? Um, how they're communicating with you, what kind, how involved are they going to be? How tailored are they going to be for your personal systems? Some TCs will do, like, they'll take the agent's checklist and do everything that specific agent wants. That TC is most likely not going to be doing a high volume because it is challenging to have 15 different checklists,
Okay.
one for every single agent. So yeah, there's such a variety of TCs and who's willing to do what when. So it's really just identifying first before you make that phone call. What do you need help with? What are you willing to give up? And then, is that TC the right one for you? It might take a couple transactions to be like, we're a great fit, or, oh, you know what, maybe this isn't the right one for my business plan.
Yeah, that makes sense. The analogy there of Walmart, Target, all that reminded me of one of the things that people say, like in the trades and stuff, is you have good, cheap, and fast. You can only have two of those. If you want good, it's not going to be, good and fast. It's not going to be cheap. So.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, let's wrap it up and call it a day.
Right.
I'm off for the rest of the day. You got work to do, so.
Yep. I still got a few more hours.
There you go. Well, I appreciate you coming on and explaining all that, and I hope we can get a lot of agents listening and changing the mindset if they have a bias against using a transaction coordinator or something like that, and maybe it'll get you a little business. If not, then it at least gets some awareness out there. So again, thanks for coming on. Good luck with your training for your half Ironman, which again is ridiculous, and I think you're crazy. But,
I love it, even if it's a lot.
Excellent. Any last words of wisdom for anyone?
Not really.
Set a goal and crush that goal.
I mean, really, for me, my focus this year is just ultimately work-life balance. I'm really trying to narrow in and identify what's important in my life and just enjoy it. Work isn't everything. So
yeah, no, I think that is absolutely correct on so many levels, and just another reason why agents should be using the transaction coordinator. So there you go.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, and we will talk with you later.
Thank you.
All righty.
Appreciate it.
All rights to this production are the sole property of me, Shannon Gatewood. So keep your grubby hands off, muchacho.